Hey guys, how are you? Today for reading, our objectives are I can determine the meaning of unfamiliar words using the monitor and clarify approach, and I can understand confusing parts of the text by using the monitor and clarify approach. So today is going to be all about monitoring what we're reading and then clarifying it if we don't understand it. So last week we talked about making and confirming predictions, and we know that a prediction is a guess that you make about what's going to happen in a story or a text. So a lot of times we need to make predictions before we read, and the way that we do that is we look at the cover, we read the title, we look at some of those text features, and then predict what the text will be all about. During the reading, it's a good idea to stop and think about what you've read, and then what do you think will happen next? So we're going to be predicting what's going to be coming up. This gets you thinking as you're reading and gets you engaged in the text so that you are better understanding what's going to be happening. And then after you read, you either confirm that you were right with your predictions or you adjust what your prediction was and kind of ask yourself, was I right? So today we are going to be looking at the strategy monitor and clarify. And with this strategy monitor and clarify, we are just checking to see what we understand, see if we understand what we read. So if you look at the graphic organizer on the left, you got a flow chart. So if you are reading something and you stop and you ask yourself, do I understand what I just read? If you answer no, then maybe you don't understand a word, then you need to look at decoding it, maybe look for those context clues, replace it with another word, or even just go and look up the word in the dictionary. If you're reading it and you don't understand what the text is about, what is being said, make some notes down. Jot down, what confuses you, and think about what you already know from your own reading or from what you just know. And then, of course, our big thing is going to be to reread and look for those details that you might have missed. A lot of times you can also look at images in those text features. So, again, this is a skill that we use so that we get the most out of the story that we're reading. So we have to ask ourselves, do I understand what I read? Are you having trouble with the word? Is there something in the text that's confusing to you? If any of those are yes, then you need to go back and reread the text to help you out. So, how will you be successful today? You will use text evidence to understand words that you don't know. You will reread a passage to better understand the meaning of it, and you're going to use that strategy monitor and clarify the text so that you can understand and enjoy it. All right, so this week we're going to be focusing on a book called Judy Moody, Mood Martian, and Judy Moody is one of my favorite characters. She is so kind of crazy. She has such a big personality. She's always doing things really big. And so I like this book, and I think that you guys will like what we read today and the rest of this week. So this story is realistic fiction because the illustrations show real people doing real activities. If you look at page 40 in your book, there's dialogue that would be a conversation of real children talking to one another. And then if you look at it even further, there are 3 headings that show you that this part of the book that we're reading is made up of 3 chapters from the bigger book. So we're not going to read the whole book this weekend. We're just reading 3 of those chapters. So let's read this book and find out what happens in her story. As we're reading, you might want to pay attention to those words highlighted in yellow. Those are some of our big idea words that we are going to kind of explore a little bit more. So I'm going to move this here. I want you to turn in your My Book to page 40 and 41, and then follow along as I read this. All right, so who's who? In a mood. She, Judy Moody, was in a mood, a sour ball mood, a mad face mood, all because school pictures had come home that day. If Steve came into her room, he would ask to see her school picture. And if he asked to see her school picture, he would see that she was wearing her "I'm a Girl, Hear Me Roar" t-shirt, the same one she wore today. And if he saw her wearing her Roar t-shirt in her school pictures, he would also see that she looked like Sasquatch with a bird's nest hair in her face and in her eyes. Mom and Dad were going to freak. "Just once, we'd like to have this nice school picture of our girl," Dad said at just that this morning. "Maybe this will be the year," Mom had said, but third grade was no different. If only Mom and Dad would forget about school pictures this year. Fat chance. Maybe Judy could pretend that the dog ate them. Too bad the Moody's don't have a dog, only Mouse, the cat. She could say that an evil school picture bandit erased them from the master computer. Hardly. To make things worse, Rocky had grabbed her Sasquatch picture in class and wouldn't give it back. Then he passed it to Frank, which made Judy yelp and jump up out of her seat instead of doing her math. That's when Mr. Todd said the A word, Antarctica. The desk in the back of the room where Judy had to go to chill out for the third time that day. Never in the history of Judy had she been to Antarctica that many times in a row. A donut-sized sticky spot sat in her stomach, just remembering it. That's why she, Judy Moody, was in a mood. A finger knitting, don't think about school pictures, need to be alone mood. As in by herself. As in no stinky little brother to bug and bother her like a pesky mosquito. Bzzz. Stink was always in her ear. So as we were reading this, we want to make sure that we understand what we just read. And I am kind of confused a little bit about the word mood. And I can go back and I can reread to clarify this to myself. So there's quite a few times that she said she was in a mood. And I don't really understand what this means, as in what kind of a mood this is. So I'm going to go back and look at some clues to kind of help me figure out what a mood is. When we don't understand a word, we need to try to decode it again, look for context clues, maybe replace it with another word, or look it up in the dictionary. So the very first sentence in this text says, she, Judy Moody, was in a mood, a sour ball mood, a mad face mood, because all because the school pictures had come home that day. So in the sentence, I know that sour ball mood and mad face mood, I'm going to use those to help me understand how she's feeling. So I know that when I have a mad face, I know that I am not very happy. And so I can take that information to help me understand what mood means and to know that Judy is not very happy about her school pictures. All right, we're going to continue reading by going to the next page in our book. So turning in your book to my book to page 42 to 43, and then follow along as I read these pages. All right. Judy's number one favorite place to curl up with Mouse was on her top bunk, but Stink would for sure find her there. She crawled over globs of flip-flops and blobs of dirty clothes to her second favorite spot to be alone, the way back of her closet. She popped a wad of Stink's yard-long bubble gum in her mouth. Don't look at me like that, Mouse. What Stink doesn't know won't hurt him. She picked up a skein of gray-brown yarn and looped it around her thumb. Mouse battered the finger knitting chain with her paw. Over, under, back, loop-de-loop. Judy tugged on the long chain of apple green yarn that dangled from her left hand. Her fingers flew. Judy Moody, was the fastest finger knitter in Frog Neck Lake, Virginia, the fastest finger knitter in the East, probably the fastest in the whole world. Finger knitting was the greatest. No knitting needles needed. She looped the yarn over her fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, back, over, under, through, just like Grandma Lou had taught her during the big blackout in Hurricane Elmer. Judy's closet was a secret little room all to herself. It even had a window, a small round window, just like the kind they had on ships, sailing ships, pirate ships. The ship sailed across the blue ocean, bobbing in the waves under a sky full of marshmallow clouds. Judy and Mouse rocked back and forth as the ship's hammock swung in the breeze until the ship hit a giant wave and, "Mouse overboard!" Judy tossed her chain of knitting to Mouse. She felt a tug on the line. So this could be a great place that we could stop and make that prediction. Who was tugging on that knitting line? Think about it a second. Who do you think's tugging on that line? So I want to monitor and clarify. So I know I'm going to be successful and I can reread the passage to better understand the meaning of it. I can also monitor and understand the text so that I can understand it a little bit better. So one thing that I was thinking about is, why does Judy like to hide in the closet? So I want to go back in the text and think about why she likes to hide in the closet. So that first paragraph 13, it says, Judy's number one favorite place to curl up with Mouse was on her top bunk, but Stink would for sure find her there. She crawled over gobs of flip-flops and blobs of dirty shirts to her second favorite spot to be alone, the way back of her closet. So I'm thinking there that she really likes to hide up on the top of her bunk, but she knows if she's up there, Stink's going to find her. So she really likes to go there because she wants to be alone. It's her second favorite spot, and she wants to be alone away from Stink. She doesn't want Stink to be able to find her. So I can see that in paragraph 13, it says that she thinks Stink can't find her in the way back of her closet. So this is a place she wants to hide and not be found. So one of the things that you guys are going to do today for your independent activity is to complete this monitor and clarify graphic organizer. So I've already filled this out for the two things that I just showed you how to monitor and clarify. The first one was monitoring and clarifying a word. So we said, what does the word mood mean? The way that I kind of figured this out was to reread and use prior knowledge. And then I asked myself a question. After I reread, I found that Judy is upset and mad. The second thing that I needed to clarify was why she was hiding in the closet. That is something that I didn't really understand when I was reading, and so I had to reread. I had to think about what I know about why people hide. I used my pictures to kind of help me out, and then I was asking myself some questions. And so when I did all of those things, I found out that she likes to go there to get away from Stink. All right, so you're going to turn to page 45 and 46 and read along as I read out loud. Stink! Judy snapped out of her daydream. Her gum went flying. You scared the bubble gum out of me. So who was right? Did you guys think that Stink was the one that was pulling on the line? Where'd you get that gum? Asked Stink. Nowhere. It's ABC gum. She picked it up and popped it back in. How'd you find me anyways? The eye followed the chain of yarn. The long, colorful chain of finger knitting snake across the bottom of her closet, climbed up and over piles of books and towers of toys. The long, colorful chain of finger knitting snaked across the bottom of her closet, climbed over and over piles of books and towers of toys, wound around Sock Mountain, and crept out the door. Well, bad idea. I'm in a mood. How was I supposed to know? Clues 1, 2, 3, those doohickeys that hang out on the doorknob? Oh, I thought you were going to say school pictures. That too. Somebody's in a mood. Bingo. Can I help it if I don't go around and reading doorknobs? Judy looked around and grabbed a fuzzy pillow. See this pillow? This is my mood pillow. It will be our signal. If the pillow's sitting up, it means I'm in a good mood. Come in. But if it's laying down, bad mood, go away. Much better than a doorknob doohickey. But what if the pillow was standing up and the window was open and a hurricane came and a super high wind blew down the pillow and knocked it onto its side? Or what if a giant monster bigger than King Kong came and picked up our house and shook it like a toothpick and the pillow fell over? Fine. Judy plucked a marker from her pencil box. She set the pillow in her lap. On one side, she drew a happy face for good mood, and on the other side, she drew a frowny face for bad mood. This will be my mood pillow. Happy face means come in. Frowny face means go away. Judy leaned the pillow against the wall. Frowny face out. The pillow has spoken. Stink. So you guys are going to be monitoring and clarifying something on this page, and you know that you're going to have to reread the passage to better understand the meaning of a word or to understand the text so that you can enjoy it. So your question that you're going to be answering is, I wonder how Judy feels about stink coming into her closet. You should reread page 44 to make sure you know what's going on. All right, so on this page, this will be what your assignment looks like. You have page 44. I already put in that question, how does Judy feel about stink coming into her closet? You're going to check off which strategies you used. Did you reread? Did you use prior knowledge? Did you look at the visuals, or did you ask questions? And then you're going to explain to me, how did it work? What did you find out? So for your independent activities, you have 3 things. The first one's going to be the Cami that's on page 48, so finishing up this page. The second one's going to be to learn about the spelling words, which are vowel, consonant, E words. You will have a spelling city to work on. And then you're going to be doing the grammar. So you've got your objective page, you've got a video with the lesson about statements and questions, and then you will have a Cami that you will be working on as well. I will see you later this afternoon for our reading group, and if you have questions, save them for the reading group. See you guys later.